Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlords battle terrain system is finally here. This truly game-changing update sort of slid under the radar, but I am so happy that it's arrived. Along with full siege fixes, a completely overhauled battle morale system, and a Total War-inspired deployment screen, it is one of the most beautiful updates and patches that I think Bannerlords have ever brought in. But I did say in my overview video of the mod that I'll be bringing an in-depth video explaining exactly how this all works. And my god, have I got a video for you today, because Bannerlord's new battle terrain update really does do something incredible. First of all, if you don't know what it is, as an overview, when you're playing Mount & Blade, originally what used to happen on the campaign map is you'd go into battles with armies, looters, peasants, whoever you wanted to slaughter on this fine medieval day, and the game would look at the terrain that you're fighting in and allocate a random scene according to that terrain. For example, if you're in the desert fighting the Azari, the game would say, okay, he's in the desert, let's randomize one of these few desert scenes that we've got and give them that to play on, and it would do the same with forests, plains, steppe, whatever you can imagine. And it was fine, it worked well, but it wasn't quite as immersive as I think many people would have liked. I mean, Rome Total War did this all the way back in 2004, being able to translate things that you saw on the campaign map exactly as they were in the battles themselves. The positions of the armies, whether there was a bridge battle, whether there was a ship or a castle in the background, and these made the game so much more immersive, and these bits of attention to detail is mainly one of the reasons that I think that Rome Total War did so well. And finally, Bannerlords announced that they were putting it in their game. Okay, it's not going to be anywhere near the scale as Rome Total War. It's still in its basic form, and it's still very much a beta version of this update. But the battle terrain system actually kind of works. We already know that they've added in 23 new scenes, adding on top of the scenes that they already had. That's about 72 in total, but what does that mean? Well, in Developer Update 7, when Bannerlords announced this new battle terrain update, we were shown 148 segments of the map. This is what it's eventually going to be split up to for the regions that the battles will represent. Of course, so far, the fact is that Bannerlords are telling us there's a total of 72 scenes in the single player, so not quite half of what we were shown in the video, but more hopefully should come later on. This does, however, mean accuracy with this battle terrain system is kind of low. When I say accuracy, I mean how accurate the battle you play in is to the campaign map that you saw before that battle. But hey, it still should be a bit of an improvement, right? The claim was that not only will each segment be a region of the map that will bring up the scene that has related to it, but it will also determine the way armies are facing and the direction that objects are in this scene. For example, if you see troops facing towards each other with rivers on their right and forests on their left, that should be related within the scene that you actually play for the battle. So I wanted to put that to the test. In my first overview video, I showed the basics, but I really wanted to see how accurate this new system was being. I wanted to go and test out some of the big landmarks. I brought up the map that Bannerlords showed us with all the segments that they'd supposedly split the game up into. Of course, this version not having that many segments, but some of them should be accurate, right? And I wanted to see how many I could actually get to work. So the first big landmark I wanted to try was the stone crossing linking up the Empire and the Azari. This was marked as a highlighted area as its own region on the segment map we were shown in the dev blog. So I wanted to see if they'd actually implemented that scene yet. As you can see on the grid map, the area is actually split up into two. So I wanted to check if the battle scene would actually be different on each side of the bridge crossing, and would the crossing even be in the battle itself? And no. Not really. The map itself was a pretty generic scene. I mean, the ocean was there, but it was on the wrong side to the way I was facing on the campaign map. A little bit disappointing. I moved to the other side of the crossing to see if anything would change, and I spawned in exactly the same place. Yeah, kind of a letdown. But I wasn't giving up here. I moved a little bit onwards, trying to move into a different marked segment of the map, and my god, it actually worked. So it looked like the crossing scene that I tried to activate before hadn't been made yet. Of course, as I mentioned, there are 72 scenes in the game at the moment out of a possible 148, so some just aren't going to exist yet. I was in a very similar scene. The terrain was almost the same, but now I actually faced the right way. The sea was on the right side to where my guy was facing on the map. You have the cliffs and everything seemed to be in the right place. So this was a good start. But let's try another big map feature. The lake up near Ox Hall, marked as its own big segment on the map. So let's see if we can get that river, the lake, the bridge, and of course the city all in the right place when we load into a well, I guess I am using a beta. yeah, I had a few crashes. So I went on a quick run, and when I got back, the game files had validated and it was time to carry on my investigation. I attack a Britannian caravan next to Oxhall, hoping that we'd see the city from outside and having the river and the lake in the right place, and still not quite. But through the darkness, I started to see something. Some water hoved into view, and it was there. The river, exactly where it should have been, on my left side. Okay, I didn't see the city, but the river was there. This map had obviously been modified. We're actually getting somewhere here. But it wasn't enough for me. I wanted to see a full city. I wanted to fight for glory as the sun beamed down from the stone walls as I see a city in the distance. But had that even been added in yet? The best parts of Rome Total War were being able to see the ships or landmarks in the background of your battles that were there on the campaign map. And whilst Tailwoods had added in a basic battle terrain system, so far all I had seen were the correct terrain. Sometimes the bridges were in the right place and sometimes the armies were facing the right direction, but I hadn't seen a castle yet. I wanted to see some real buildings in the background of my battle terrain, but I wasn't sure if it was even possible. Had Tailwoods even implemented it? Battle after battle I searched, fighting in valleys and villages. By the way, the village was in the right place, I might add. That was quite cool. Then finally, the Battle of Danustica, an Azurai caravan passing by. This was my chance. The battle commenced, the sun was shining, and there it was. The goddamn castle was in the background of my battle. Okay, it probably should have been on the left with the sea to my right, and by the way, that sea didn't exist. There were a few rivers. I guess the game said, okay, water, rivers, sea, same thing, right? But nonetheless, it actually worked. The castle was in the background of my fight. It wasn't quite in the right place, but it was there. And this was what I really wanted to see, because it's not perfect. There's still so much that needs to be done. They've already stated that they've not even added in half the scenes they're hoping to do eventually, but my God, imagine this getting more detailed. Imagine getting more scenes to the point where every single battle was so related to the campaign map, to the point where every single forest was in the right place, or the bridges, or the castles, or the armies. The amount of immersion that would bring to the game, and I think it works perfectly in a title like Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. And I think this first foray into that, whilst this is only a beta and the first public version we've actually been able to play, I think it's a really good step in the right direction. And it is a lot of fun. And I just want to go and see more and more of these segments, more and more of this terrain, see what's been made and what hasn't yet. And I can't wait to go and delve deeper into that. But please let me know what you think down below. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a dislike if you didn't. But until then, I will see you in the next one.